Hi, welcome to the Narrowboat Experience. I'm Kath.
I'm Anna Marie.
And today we want to talk to you about things to look for when buying a second-hand narrowboat. If you've been following our channel for a while, you'll know that we've bought 2 second-hand narrowboats. And so we think that we have a fairly good idea of what to look for in a boat.
We've also viewed, I think, literally hundreds of boats online and seen probably
several tens
worth of boats in person. So we've compiled a top 5 list of things that we think is essential if you're actually stepping on board a narrowboat with the thought that you're going to buy her. Stick around to the end as well, because we've left our very top special tip to the end. If you are very serious about a boat and you have her in mind right now, you want to hear what that top tip is.
You found a dream narrowboat online and you're going to see it for the first time. What's the first thing that you should be doing when you get on board? Is it checking out the dinette? Finding out if the bedroom suits you? No! It's opening all those cupboards and sniffing. Sniff, sniff, sniff. You're looking for any kind of damp odours. Does it smell of gas? Can you smell the engine fumes? If it's got a pump out, can you smell toilet smells? They're all warning signs that something might not be quite right. If you're looking at an older boat, of course there's going to be smells, but make sure that you're paying an appropriate price for the age of the boat. Don't get caught up in the heritage of the boat or the credentials of the boat builder. If it's damp, it's damp.
Yes. If it has a leaking pump out, it has a leaking pump out.
These are all things that might be harder to fix than you would expect.
The second thing you want to have a think about when you're buying a second-hand boat is, does it have an inspection hatch in the cabin bilge? So is there a part of the boat, usually in the stern, that has a little latch, or sometimes people actually just drill out a little inspection hatch, so you can look into the cabin bilge and see if there's any water in there and how much water is actually in there. If it's a kind of boat that doesn't have an inspection hatch, which does happen, you can assess whether or not there are any leaks in the actual narrowboat by looking at where the wood joins over the pipework.
And with the floor.
Yeah, and if it has changed colour, obviously it has some water has been there to change its colour, and then you need to assess whether or not that is historic water or if it's a recent thing. We looked at a boat when we were looking for lazy days, and she had an inspection hatch full of water, and she also had a lot of darkening around her water pump. And we asked the questions because we didn't walk away straight away. We thought, well, let's just unpick this and see what was happening.
We could be sat on that boat now.
And she, possibly from what we could work out, the water pump had come apart some way, it had all leaked, and that's how it had ended up in the bilge. And that might be a story that you're comfortable with, and you're like, well, accidents happen, and you can move on and you can continue to look at the boat. It's really just important that you have a look and you identify what problems have happened so that you can see whether or not you're comfortable with that boat before you've even really gotten on board cupboards and inspection hatches.
Some people say that the heart of a narrowboat is the engine, and the reason for that is quite purely because it's the thing that keeps you moving, it's the thing that heats your water, it's the thing that charges your batteries. So you want to make sure that your engine is going to be reliable. When you view a narrowboat, you should be able to, for starters, look in the engine bay and have a good look. Does it look like the person has maintained the engine? Is it clean? There's obviously going to be a bit of grime in there because it's a diesel engine, but does it look like anybody has been in there ever? If it does look like it's got 10 years worth of grime build-up, chances are that the previous owners maybe haven't maintained the engine. Another way to check that is to find out whether they've kept a history of engine services. If they haven't, chances are that they haven't serviced it, or perhaps they haven't known. Sometimes when you pay somebody to service your engine, they might put a sticker on the
logbook
filters to say when they were installed. that's a key sign of when they were last changed, if they've got a really old sticker on them. It's really important that you're happy with what you're getting in your boat. If there is a lot of water in the engine bay, does that mean that the bilge pump is broken? It's a very simple thing to replace, but it is another expense that you're going to have it's another expense that you're going to have after you own that boat. The other thing that's really important relating to the engine is making sure that it runs. So you should, if you're seriously interested in a boat, you should expect the owner or the brokerage to start the engine for you, or give you the key so that you can do it yourself. So you want to be looking for an engine that starts, and how noisy it is, how much smoke blows out, that kind of thing, and just be happy with what you've got. Does it look like you're going to have to spend money on the engine? Because that will cost you if you don't know about engines.
Yeah. Embarrassingly, point number 4 we have never done, but it's making it onto this list so that you do not make the same mistake. Both boats that we seriously put offers, well, we put offers in for other boats, we didn't get them, but both of the boats, Hewitt and Lazy Days, that we ended up with had a clause in the contract that said we were allowed to take her for a test drive.
Which we saw after we'd put our money down.
Both times. I really think that even if you are inexperienced, and maybe you're going to do a helmsman course and you're like, well, I don't want to take the boat for a test drive because I don't know how to drive the boat. I think you should ask. There's usually somebody on staff if it's a brokerage.
Yeah.
If it's private, hopefully it's the owner. You should still ask to be on that boat while it is moving, because that's your money and that's going to be your life, and that maybe that's your dream. And we didn't take advantage of that offer the first time we viewed it because of inexperience. We didn't fully understand that it was for offer, and the brokerages were not incredibly clear that that is what we could do.
You've got to think it's more of an inconvenience for them for you to have a test drive. They might need to move other boats to get it out of the marina. They might need to give up somebody's time.
Yeah. But it's your entitlement. Yeah, and I think it's made it onto our list because I think you need to know before you've purchased it, you have actually driven it, or somebody next to you has driven it. And again, we did it with Lazy Days. We felt very confident with her, and we definitely did the other things. And we kind of kicked ourselves because it wasn't till the very end that we went, we haven't taken her on a test drive.
Yeah.
But we felt quite protected with her as well because we literally moored in the same marina that we bought her for a week so that we could troubleshoot anything, and the brokerage did help us troubleshoot any things we weren't comfortable with. So that balanced itself out. But yeah, that's definitely on the list. Do not make the same mistake we did. Take her for a test drive.
When you've chosen your boat and you're ready to put your offer in, the final thing that I would check with your broker or with the owner, if you're dealing with them directly, is what is included in the sale. Some brokers have a really good clear policy that when you hand your keys over as a seller, what is left on the boat is included in the sale, and that makes it really clear for the new purchasers because it is what they see is what they get. However, some brokers that we have dealt with, they don't have that same policy, so the vendor or person selling the boat can come back on at any point and take things, which is fine, it's their boat, but it does make it unclear for the purchaser in terms of what am I going to end up with when I get the keys. If the contract of sale that you're getting when you've paid your deposit says see attached inventory, make sure that you have an attached inventory so that there are no surprises when you turn up to get the keys after giving them your money.
Yep.
It sounds really untrustworthy.
Yeah.
It sounds untrusting. It sounds really simple, but just for your own peace of mind, just follow up on that one point, because it's important that you're paying the price that you pay for the boat, and you know what you're getting for that price.
Yeah.
If there's a heap of freestanding furniture in there when you see the boat, when the boat gets surveyed and you're there for the survey, and then when you turn up to get the key and it's not there, but you didn't get an inventory, then then you've got to go and buy all the furniture.
Yeah.
And so you're not getting the boat that you thought you were. Just something to be mindful of.
Yeah. So these were your top 5 tips of what to look for when you're buying a narrowboat. However, we have what we think is probably the most important one, and it's an extra tip for you. It's the one we've left to the end because it is the one you do just before you put in your offer. And a lot of people don't know this, but once you have your survey, you've put your deposit down, you had your survey, you will only get money off the boat if it is a level 1 or a BSS requirement. So what you need to do is you need to go through the boat, do your sniff test and all the other things, but then you need to look at your paintwork, look at any other things that you think might need replacing, or anything you're not comfortable with or sure about, and you need to cost up those items, and that's your negotiation point. That amount of money is what you go and negotiate on. You will not in the offer. Yeah, you will not be able to go with your list of things after the survey and just go, oh, the surveyor also said that the gunnels were flaking. You need to have already negotiated that before the survey. Your survey really is only going to come back with level 1 and BSS things that you can negotiate on generally.
Yeah.
And
this is something we learned and applied. We learned from buying our first boat, and we applied it when we bought our second boat.
And it's something we wish we had understood fully on the first boat, but we definitely were able to make a more calculated offer on the second boat because we costed up what everything would cost and understood what we were taking on buying a second-hand boat.
Yeah. With the valuation price that the boat is up for sale, remember, the boat is only worth what somebody else is prepared to pay for it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, which may not match the broker's valuation.
And I also think the boat's only really worth what you're willing to pay for it as well.
Yeah,
because of the things that you've worked out that you need to do. For instance, we can do our own paintwork because I'm awesome at it.
Yeah, you are.
But somebody else who is older or busier or less experienced or younger
or not interested in painting
is going to cost them more. So you need to really look at things like that. That is the one thing that we think just before you hand over your money. Understand your negotiating power decreases substantially after you've had your survey.
Thanks for watching this vlog on things to look out for when buying a narrowboat. We hope that it has been helpful to you if that is something that you're interested in. If you have any questions about this topic or anything that you think we've missed, drop it in the comments box below, and maybe we'll make another vlog because there is a lot to talk about on the topic.
And it is one of our favourite things to talk about. Yeah. We no longer get invited to dinner parties because we only talk about boats. I think that's the reason.
If you have found this helpful, or you know somebody that's looking at buying a boat, why not share this video with them? And don't forget, give us a like.
Really helps us out. And also click the subscribe button. That's also really helpful.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks.